Hello, my name is Kirioth, and today we are going to talk about some of the stuff that we may well see in the new Ork Codex when Orktober finally rolls around. Now, I've held off on making this video up until this point because I basically wanted to see just how accurate this person is, and this isn't casting aspersions on the person who sent me this information. Indeed, I'm very, very thankful that they did. But whenever we see things about new codexes, we see rumours, we see leaks. Quite a lot of the time we see wish lists being treated as rumours and then rumours being treated as leaks, and they're not accurate. It is just people basically going, this is what I'd like to see, and then it gets picked up and spread around as being something that is not just likely but true, and it turns out not to be. I didn't want to be someone who just started that chain off, so I wanted to wait a little bit and see if some of the things that they'd said turned out to be true. And now that they have, I'm completely happy in sharing this stuff with you because they, at the very least, have called 3 of the vehicles that we've seen so far. They named explicitly, and this is like 14th of August I sent this stuff, so they named the Shock Jump Dragster, the Custom Booster Blaster, the Boomdacker Snazwagon. They also named a Mega Track Scrapjet and a Rucker Truck Squig Buggy, and also there's going to be a hero vehicle, which is a War Trike. Now, out of those 6 vehicles they've mentioned, 3 of them are completely correct. They are legitimate. We know the names of them, we have pictures of them. In fact, the latest one is just a big picture on the screen right now that you can see. So, for me, that is enough to indicate that at the very least they have a good idea of what they're talking about. Now, they play tested the Ork Codex a while ago, and they are pretty much sure that what they were playtesting is the final draft of the Codex, and that stuff was in it. That's how they know. Therefore, I'm totally happy to share with you the rest of what they said, because I think this is now incredibly likely, if not most likely, true. But if not, again, take as much salt as you like with this. They've already proved themselves to be correct in some things, so this is what the rest of the stuff is that they've said. So they have confirmed a ridiculous amount of deep striking and teleporting and behind the line shenanigans that can happen early game. So this is part of this is a stratagem that allows you to keep 20 power level off the board and teleport it in 9 inches away from the enemy. And they've said that Gorkanauts will be amazing. Now, this is the message where they said they play tested months ago and they've seen what they were told is the final draft of the Codex, and they're reckoning that Orks will be a powerhouse early game. There are a few things left out. So the version that they saw, there was no Warboss, Big Mech or Pain Boy on bikes. Now, to be honest, I actually believe that quite easily because there are no models for those. And as we know, Games Workshop are being a little bit weird in the way they're handling that stuff, whereby they're saying if there's no model, then there's no rules, but then you have things like the Grandmaster in Nemesis Dread Knight, that's it, I can't remember the name of the bloody unit, where they're saying, like, well, we'll just kit bash it. So it's a little bit strange, but to be honest, I can easily see that. There is a Warboss on bike from Forge World, as we know, but that will probably be a Forge World update as opposed to being actually in the Codex itself. So Warboss, Big Mech, Pain Boy on bikes, not going to be entries. But there is going to be a War Trike, which sounds awesome. There is also going to be another new model, which will be a mech shop. They've also said there's going to be no Prime Orcs, but Gazgul is still amazing. They have no idea if there's an updated model. That's totally fair. If you're playtesting the Codex, you wouldn't know, whether there's going to be an updated version of older models. The mech shop buffs up vehicles and may be known as the Stomp attacks, as those two together will be terrifying. One buff will allow you to take the maximum shots per vehicle rather than rolling for it, so if the weapon is heavy 3d6, then it'll be 18 shots. Plus, Daka is an army-wide rule now. Now that's rolls of 6 generate another attack in a shooting phase. So some of that stuff already sounds pretty good. It's a shame that there's going to be stuff missing, but to be honest, it does kind of make sense. I mean, Games Workshop have started to do that thing where they're like, hey, there's no model, so we don't make rules. Even though quite often, well, I say quite often, one specific instance, they did make rules and then explicitly told you how to make the model that they didn't produce. Go figure. So there is also the clan system. So Orks pick a clan for their army, and models with that clan keyword get the following benefits. So for Goths, their clan culture is each to hit roll of 6 in melee generates another attack. Nice and gothy. Extra attack in combat, never a bad thing. Bad Moons reroll 1s in the shooting phase. Again, pretty bad moons. Evil Sons models gain +1 movement and add 1 to advance and charge rolls. I really like that. Also, don't suffer shooting penalty when shooting assault weapons when advancing. Again, that seems appropriate and I quite like it. Death Skulls models gain a 6+ invulnerable save. Also, each unit can re-roll a to hit, a to wound, and a damage die each time it shoots or fights. That sounds kind of nice for Death Skulls, frankly. I mean, each unit can reroll a hit, a to wound, a damage die each time it shoots or fights. It's not 100% explicit as to how that works, so it could be that, I mean, the chances are you'll have to decide which one you do, but that's still not bad. Snakebite models roll a 6 to negate a wound they suffer, which, I mean, that's just essentially feel no pain, isn't it? I was going to say an invulnerable save, but it's not. It's more feel no pain than that, but Blood Axes can retreat and shoot or charge in the same turn. They also gain cover in the open. It's quite nice. And Freebooters gain a +1 to hit if a friendly Freebooter model/unit destroys a unit. I'm assuming that is within a certain radius. It could be army-wide, but it's not that explicit, what's been sent to me. So that is a little bit of speculation there. Obviously, the chances are with some of these, there will be kind of additions to them to expand on them and explain them better when we see the previews. But those are the kind of basic clan cultures that we will probably see in the Codex. And to be honest, they seem reasonable. There doesn't seem to be anything completely mental or wish listy out of this stuff. It seems pretty reasonable, and they all fit those kind of sub-factions of Orks pretty well. I do really like the Evil Sons ones, to be honest. I really like that. There is also a few stratagems as well that have been sent to me. Again, same guy, and you'll know I've not told you who it is, because if you tell who the person is who sends this stuff, that person doesn't get to test you anymore, and therefore you don't get to find out stuff early. So of course I'm not going to name who they are. So there is the aforementioned Teleport, which is the setup within 9 inches of the enemy. Green Tide, take a boys unit under half strength and set it up wholly within 6 inches of table edge and 9 inches away from the enemy. Now, there's no values attached to these, so we don't know how many command points they are, but they are stratagems that will most likely appear in the Codex. Grot Shields. When a unit suffers a wound from shooting, roll a 2+. If there's a Grot unit within 3 inches, the Grots take a wound instead. Grots have to be closer to the unit that's shot. I really like that. I hope that's a thing. That's kind of cool. Having like a full-on unit of Grot meat shields is kind of funny. Ramming speed. Ork vehicle can charge 3d6 and does mortal wounds when it successfully charges. An Ork vehicle can charge 3d6 and does mortal wounds when it successfully charges. That's crazy, and I can now see why they mentioned teleporting a Gorkanaut. That's mad. That would be really, really awesome. There's also Loot It. Ork infantry unit gains a +1 to their armor save when a vehicle is destroyed near them. That's really cool. That's, like I say, genuinely nice, fluffy stratagem. I really hope that is how that appears in the Codex, because that's really fluffy. That's really good. And he also points out Mega Knobs with Grot Shields and a +1 save. Yes, please. And long uncontrolled bursts. Add +1 to hit rolls for flying units that shoot at another flyer. So a straight up buff if used on Dakka jets. And finally, the last one that they've sent me was a Get Stuck In. Ork infantry can pile in and attack again in close combat. So that is... Oh, sorry, and also custom force field is wholly within now. So there's been a change to the custom force field. Now, as I say, the Codex is not out. We cannot see whether this is all completely accurate, but this person has correctly named 3 brand new Ork vehicles that have been released so far. There's also, I'm pretty sure we've already seen the War Trike in the background of one of the other pictures. There's something that looks very trike-like in the background with a massive Ork sticking out of it. So given that they have called that stuff correctly, and given that especially the kind of clan culture seem to be pretty in line with what I would expect, and there's nothing that stands out as being completely ridiculous or stupid or over the top, and they fit quite nicely without being dumb. To be honest, it seems pretty reasonable. It seems like this could well be what we'll see in the Codex itself. If it is, if that's some of the stuff that we'll get in there, to be honest, they're looking pretty fun again. Orcs are actually looking fun. There is some nice stuff in there that I really hope does appear in the Codex itself. So yeah, as I say, I'm sharing this because there's now a very good indication that the person genuinely really knows what they're talking about. Again, not to cast aspersions on them, but I don't want to be the person that starts like a random nonsense rumour with no kind of basis for it. I'd much prefer to actually have some confirmation as to what I'm imparting could be correct, and I feel like we've got that now. So that is some of the stuff that we may well see in the upcoming Ork Codex. All we need to do now is wait until Orktober, which cannot come soon enough because I can't wait to see this stuff, and I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the vehicles being shown off, especially since let's face it, the design of these vehicles are fucking great so far. They're doing a really, really good job. So yeah, that is what I have been informed of. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, both in terms of whether you like the idea of this stuff, whether you think some of these rules are good, and also plausibility. I'd be interested to hear whether you think this is completely legit. To be honest, I think it probably is. It seems right. It doesn't seem completely over the top or stupid. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Feel free to click the stuff all over the screen. And, well, if you want to, don't click if you don't want to. It's entirely your choice. And I'll see you for the next video. Toodaloo.